All right, we're back in the shop after Eddie and I's adventure to Pittsburgh. Adventure! And you can tell that they're working on Val Morris's chassis, touching up some of the welds that we couldn't get to. You know, stuff like these and these and these and welding that. Ooh, that's kind of still warm.
Hey, when you weld stuff, it gets hot.
Thanks for that public service announcement.
Ask your elbow.
Yeah, my elbow definitely has some burn on it still. So while they're making noise and bright lights over there, Ricky's working on an anti-roll bar install in the back of the Hawaii Chevy 2.
Yep.
Got a nice big fat TRZ anti-roll bar. Making some custom brackets to fit it because we didn't catch it earlier, but that bar that's in there, it didn't level. We didn't put that one in. And it would have kind of been a pain in the butt to take it out because it was tied to so much of the rest of the car already. So we're just gonna make some custom brackets to tie the anti-roll bar down to that bar. But anyways, let's get through the intro and we'll go over some other things we're doing, and then we'll get into a time lapse.
That's hot. That's hot.
Oh, you're on the spot now.
Oh boy. No pressure.
No pressure. Oh, it actually works pretty good.
Darn. My finger is getting very hot. Ow. I gotta switch gloves. I gotta put the mid glove.
All right, figured we'd try to capture some welding on video. Maybe we'll do a little bit more of that as we move into this video, but how we're gonna end this video is we are going to set this down on the scales and weigh it, but it'll be just the chassis. So that's kind of the idea for mocking this up. We're gonna take that fire bottle out, the seat out. We got our other fire bottle in, and it is going to mount right in here behind and below the rear seat, and then the fire lines will come out, possibly go through this cavity right here, and then go up through the transmission tunnel up into the engine bay. So we'll put some inserts into the chassis to hold like some 8L clamps or something to tuck that up out of the way. But things are coming along nicely. You can see we've got to do stuff like weld these up. This is a hard tab we made to kind of set the outer rocker, and the little sheet metal is still a little bit flexible. This thing just looks so cool sitting here on the lift. Looks cool. Woo, TJ's making lots of noise. To get my threaded inserts made for here. So there'll be an insert here, and then we'll make we'll just have to show you that later. But it's gonna basically tie the top of the seat to the cage as well. That way the seat is completely, like, it'll get rid of this. Because if you see it bending right here on this plane, well, if we secure this up here, now the top of the seat won't have any of that. And some of it's because that bottom part's loose in the car. But anyways, let's actually get to the time lapse. Crank out a bunch of work, and I'm gonna jump into, and we'll see if we can get some stuff done, like work out the brackets for the fire bottle, the secondary fire bottle, as well as some of the other stuff we got going on. Oh, while you're here, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as well as if you want some KSR merch, winwithksr.com. Find all kinds of good stuff on there, as well as a whole bunch of race parts. Like, there's parts for your street cars, parts for your race cars, all on winwithksr.com. We appreciate everybody that buys, merch and parts from us. That helps us keep this shop going and helps me justify doing more of these videos, because it obviously takes away from my time working in the shop. But time to stop talking and actually get to work. Here we go.
Going?
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome. Striking art. Nobody's watching. You're actually foot throttling it? Look at you.
I can do both.
I'm watching through the GoPro lens, through the welding hood. So, I can't really tell if that's a good weld or not. I mean, I know it's a good weld. Just have to see if it's as pretty as my welds. Because I can lay some dimes down.
Is that good enough for you, Dad? I'll let it post slow.
What are we looking at? Oh, good color, good color. Maybe could,
a little more filler.
A little more filler and a little more often on the dab.
Yeah. I get too quick with it and I move too fast. So
Yeah.
I need to move my foot faster and pulse faster.
Anyways, now let's get to the time lapse.
So we're going to fire off into this time lapse with lots and lots of welding, and I did speed this time lapse way up because I just wanted to kind of give you guys the scope of just how many spots needed to be completely welded. So, you know, when the body's on the car and as tight as we fit the body or fit the roll cage to the body, there's quite a few spots where maybe there's, you know, a quarter of an inch or a half an inch or even an inch where you cannot access the welding torch at the area that needs to be welded, like at the joint or something. And, or there's some places where, yeah, maybe you could get to it with the body on. And if this was a project where we weren't removing the body from the car, we would go ahead and complete it. But what would have to happen is the tungsten would have to be stuck way out of the torch. And in doing that, it might lead to a kind of ugly weld, or the chances for contamination of the weld increase when the stick out goes way up, even with a gas lens. So just to make sure that we get really good quality welds all the way around all of the joints, we take the body off and complete the weld. Now, you may have noticed earlier in this time lapse, I was at the back of the car while it was up in the air and the camera angle was aiming down from the front of the car. I had the Driveshaft can in and out of the car, and what I was doing was measuring for where this Driveshaft can is going to be in relation to the output of the transmission. Now, this car was originally built with the idea of running a power glide transmission with a gear vendor's overdrive. Well, I kind of assumed that either if a Turbo 400 was ever used in the car, that the Turbo 400 would also have a gear vendor's overdrive. Well, Steve has chosen to not run a gear vendor's overdrive, so that is going to mess up my Driveshaft can placement. So I was seeing if it was going to be possible to move the Driveshaft enclosure, or that you can kind of call it a Driveshaft can. You know, it's a piece of pretty thick chromoly sheet metal that's been bent in a 180, and then it has several kind of Driveshaft loops built into it. There's one at the front, one about a third of the way back, and then there's another one kind of at the very back. So if there is ever any kind of failure with the Driveshaft, the idea is that it keeps it inside of this enclosure. So with Steve choosing to run a Turbo 400 in this car with no gear vendors, that's going to mess up my location for the can. Now the can's still going to fit into the chassis, obviously, but there's going to now be a gap in front of the can between the can and the transmission. And that most is well, let me correct myself. The front U-joint is the one that seems to be the one that has the most failures in drag racing. At least from what I've seen of like major failures in these higher horsepower cars. So, after doing some looking and estimating and measuring, I think we're going to add either another small kind of canister in front of like in between the transmission and the drive shaft can that's going to be at the back of the transmission tunnel, or we're just going to do a loop that's right around the front of the drive shaft that's in the legal spot for a drive shaft loop to be in. So a drive shaft loop is supposed to be within 6 inches of your front U-joint. That's in the NHRA rulebook. So check your drive shaft loop if you have one and it's maybe too far back or too far forward. That way that if that U-joint ever does fail, you know, the shaft can't come down and dig into the ground, which I didn't think that was ever possible. But then I saw some video a few years ago of a drive shaft breaking the front U-joint and the drive shaft digging in and kind of pogo sticking the back of the car up into the air. It's the craziest thing I ever saw. But it wouldn't happen on this car because of the drive shaft is kind of in a tubular enclosure anyway. But the drive shaft can really makes it nice for keeping debris and pieces inside and away from the driver, you know, if there were ever a drive shaft failure. Like I've seen drive shafts rip through transmission tunnels when they fail. It's not pretty. So I really want to make sure that this area of the car is nice and safe. So we're going to do what we have to do to make that happen. Well, if you've been following along in the time lapse, Eddie's been laying down some weld.
Dimes.
Dimes?
Dimes.
We talking dimes? We got dimes? We got
some dimes.
That ain't bad. That ain't bad. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. Yeah. And there's a lot to weld on this thing still. So lots of little joints here and there, you know, these and down up under there, and the ones that were up into the roof. Ooh, that's really bright. And I haven't been too much a part of this because I've been working on some other things, like the F-150 that's through the door there. Carpenter CJ's over here installing us a new door.
I'm doing something. I've never done this before.
Carpenter CJ.
If I can build race cars, I guess I can install a door.
Yeah, doors are just kind of, our carpentry, I think, isn't nearly as precise as what we're trying to do with some of this race car stuff. But we did get the other fire bottle in, and then we ordered kind of some custom bracketry that we're gonna make for it to mount it into the car. Just the brackets that it came with just aren't gonna work just right. So we're making something new there, and just lots and lots and lots of welding. All right, Ricky's over there still working on that thing. See little joints like that. I saw somebody said that was too much of a gap. I mean, it looks not like a whole lot of gap to me. Easily.
Too much of a gap for them.
Too much of a gap for them to weld?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, that's, we try to keep it within any gaps we try to keep within the thickness of the filler rod that we're using, which is typically 1/16 of an inch filler rod. But I mean, ideally we're going for that perfect fit.
Plus it's on a vent.
Yeah, the tube right here is actually not the full diameter here. It actually compresses, or it's not compressed, I guess. I guess maybe it is compressed just a little bit. Because the tube isn't a perfect circle through where the bend is. You can feel it where it's, but you can't really see it. Yeah, maybe you can. Maybe you can see it's a little thinner right there in the bend. Like it's thinner on this axis. This axis doesn't really change any. But where the
tube wraps around, so it leaves just a little bit of a gap there. But you can see we try and, instead of the tube continuing and it being like a razor thickness out here, we actually grind this flat or sand it flat so that it gives us the thickness of the tube to weld to. Kind of can see it there too, where we've got a nice little valley to put the filler rod in and melt that all together, just so that we get complete penetration for every single weld joint on this thing. And then we got stuff like our tabs that bolt the roof down to the body. I'm glad that wasn't hot, because I just laid my finger.
Yeah, you should probably stop touching things.
Laid my finger right on it.
Because I've been moving around a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Looks like you about got it wrapped up.
Almost. And then we got
so there's a sample of how the carbon is going to fit. You can see it just has some Clecos holding it in right now. But we got to work this just a little bit more, but that's going to look so awesome. And I mean, right now it's still got the clear plastic on it. Ooh, no, we can't show that just yet.
Ah!
What?
Stop taking it!
So bars like this one's gonna have a little bit of a notch, or not bars, the carbon. Gotta have a little bit of a notch to fit around there so that it lays down in all nice. Hey, don't forget to weld the back of those.
Yeah, yeah.
Wrap them around nice so that don't flap at all. Anyway, I gotta make a run to the machine shop. Gonna leave this with Eddie. I know they're so sad that I'm leaving.
Oh, so sad.
So sad.
So sad. When are you leaving again?
Soon.
What time?
Probably within the next 5 minutes or so.
Okay, perfect.
Although I may help CJ set the door.
No, I think
You need an extra hand setting the door?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll help CJ with that. And then I'll go run to Jacksonville to our machine shop to drop some stuff off, pick some stuff up. And then they can keep on cranking on this thing, or Eddie can. And then tomorrow we'll start putting some more pieces into the thing. Yeah, anyways, back to the time lapse. Friday in the shop, actually the end of Friday. Everybody's in cleanup mode. We're waiting for that to fire up. Might be time for me to get a new laptop. That one is taking its sweet time to restart so that we can get the scales out and see what this weighs. So during the week, we've gotten everything that's on here welded. Got this, the sheet metal pieces welded to the, like that's actually an 1/8 inch thick tab right there. Gives that a little extra strength. There was some little tiny closeouts that go in there. I closed this out so people getting in and out of the car wouldn't get their fingers stuck in that. Kind of a little experiment there on that piece. Made these out of some scrap 1 5/8 bends. So you can see it kind of gives it a nice, kind of fills it in real nice just because I thought it looked like it could use something right there. So all that's done. All the stuff welded up here. All of the end of the door bars welded. Basically everything. We got our little mount on it for the rear leaf electronic wiring board for the trunk. I think pretty much everything that's here is welded. Now we still have to add weight bar tabs, which I set them in the car. And we're gonna put weight bar tabs on this lower bar. Possibly here too. Bad thing is they're kind of ugly. You know, when you're not using them, they're just a tab sticking out. And hopefully we don't need them because they're not gonna have any rules to meet for weight. But if they do need to move some weight around in the car for percentages or, you know, add a little bit here and there, there will still be the ability to use some of the clamp-on weights. Like a couple of different companies sell mounting system that just clamps around an 1 5/8 bar and has a hole in it where you can put like a lead puck on it or something like that. But what we're gonna do for down here, something like we've done in some cars before where we take either a piece of 2x2 steel tubing, put a sleeve through it. It'll be a 24-inch long 2x2 or 2x3 piece of steel tubing. It'll have a fill cap on one end and then it can have lead shot put in it or be filled completely up with lead if you want each bar to weigh like 65 pounds. So that'll be quite a bit of weight. And if we do, you know, say we do them here, and so it'll be a 24-inch long bar. These will be on like a 20-inch center. So 2 inches in from each side of the, you know, the piece of 2x3 steel tubing. And if we needed to, we could bolt them to both sides. So we could bolt it to this side of the tab and to that side of the tab just using a longer bolt. So that's kind of the idea we have for that. I'm not sure really what else we've got to do. I'm on the schedule for getting the chassis cert done, as well as the Nova. Ricky's got that one ready to be certed. He's actually working on the remaking the parachute anchor bar because it was kind of thin, and before it was only for the parachute. Well, now it's going to be for a trailer also. So we did our thick wall 1 inch and is it 1 3/4 or 1 7/8?
1 3/4.
1 3/4, and then the tube that fits inside of it is 1.5 inches.
Right here, it's thick.
Yeah, they're both, I think, 120 wall. That sounds right. Oh, we finally have moved on to the next step.
I'm ready to weigh this thing.
All right, we can put the. Oh, we're putting money on it.
Yeah, of course.
How much money are we putting on it?
$1 whole.
$1. Oh, that's not worth it. I was gonna
Fine, big baller.
I was gonna go $5.
$1 piece.
$1 piece?
All right, yeah. Winner takes the pot.
Winner takes the pot.
All right.
Or a Celsius on each?
No, they steal my Celsiuses every day anyway.
We pay for them. Okay.
Fine. They pay for half of them.
Celsius sponsor us.
So yeah, come on, computer. I think that laptop is like 5, 6 years old, so she's kind of old. Oh, look at this. Maybe? No, we're back to the blue screen again. Ah, dang. All right. We did get the steering adjustable bracket done since the last video. I'm not sure. Oh, and that. So, got cup holders. We're gonna do a little something else right here for like a catch-all tray, just for, you know, drag week type stuff. The this may be a little hint of what's to come in the future, but we don't need that for weighing. It's nice and snug in the chassis mount there, so that'll eventually get a bolt through it once we decide what rotation the driver wants to do. Oh, are we finally? See if it'll get to the next screen. Nice. Motion Raceworks operator shifter. I did buy a couple more of these big aluminum carts, which, funny story about these are like, I heard $1,500 to $1,800 a piece for these carts, and they didn't have wood in them. They were used at a local, well, it used to be local, but out by my house in Alachua, there was an Energizer battery plant, and these had all kinds of battery trays in them. And I actually have a couple of the battery tray, actual trays at my house. Like, kept them for some random reason. Any luck?
Yeah.
Careful moving the whole thing, it'll lock up.
Oh boy.
Will the mouse move? Okay.
You need a new computer.
I do need a new computer. But then I have to call Raceway and get a new daggum password.
Oh.
What are you doing?
I gave it. Where's Raceway?
It's on the desktop.
Oh, I didn't see it. I'm blind. Oh,
It's
it's right there.
that icon that says Raceway.
It didn't have an icon.
See, it's not Raceway like a track, it's W-E-I-G-H. Is that what threw you off?
No. I've used it before.
All right,
This
well,
is
let's get the jack stand set up underneath it.
Well, I want to, because one of them is kind of iffy, so I want to stand on all of them first.
I think it's the right front. This is the weird one. So it's.
Yeah, I know. I just like to do it as habit. It is the right front one, though. You're right.
Okay.
Which I left out.
The bummer is I've sent that one back like 2 or 3 times too. So. Yeah. Sometimes you just got some quirks with your equipment. Come on, computer. Speaking of quirks with equipment, did you double click this?
I did.
Arg. Oh, wait a second. We got a little spinny blue thing. All right, well, I guess let me pause this while we, I saw something happen. All right, I'm gonna pause this until that wakes itself up.
Bud. Ready, right?
All right, we had to break out plug it into the wall.
You're right.
I thought you weighed less than 200 pounds.
Hey, don't play with me over there. This ain't CJ, this is Eddie.
Wow. That was it.
I've lost like 30 pounds. Come on, man.
You have, CJ. You look awesome.
Hey.
Wait, that was weird. Actually, we've got to explain a reason for that in the next video. No, not next video, because tomorrow will be my video. Anyways, or at least something that helped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. All right. Scales are on. Scales are zeroed. I guess I'll have to zero them again after. Whoa, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
Switch out what we're doing. You have 3-con?
Yeah. We got a. No.
Am I going to the parachute bar or the?
Go to the horizontal one. It don't matter. Like.
Go to the horizontal one because it's lower. It's closer to the height of these.
Hands off of the. Oh, we're gonna go that high with them. All
I
right.
figured.
Okay, that works. Everybody, hands off of scales or jack stands.
Yep. All right.
Clear.
Yep.
All right, zeroed.
Actually, I guess I could go down a little bit to keep it level. But down a few notches.
I mean, only doing 3 it should keep it really stable. And being that far back on the back like we are. All right, we all guessing?
Yeah, we got, everyone got numbers?
Everybody got numbers?
I got a number.
I got numbers.
Who's going first?
Oh, we got to figure out how are we going to figure that out?
You go first, you're the shortest.
Draw tungsten? Oh, okay. I'm going, I'm allowed to go first.
Because you're the shortest.
I'm going 375.
Dadgummit.
Ooh,
That was
mine's close to that.
That was my freaking number.
Mine's close to that. I'm saying 386.
386.
327.
Hmm. I was going 375. So 386, 375,
327.
327. I guess I'm gonna go, let's see, 360.
You waited last night while we were all
I did not.
I waited last time while we're all
As long as that thing took to fire up, like, all right, we ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to move this one.
That one looks like it needs to maybe go up some more. Hey.
Oh, hold on.
We're at -1.
It's just because he's holding up.
Oh.
Maybe
Yeah.
these could go down some.
Yeah, I put those ones down
I think
a little
that
bit.
it'll be pretty level right where it's at right now.
How you figure? You got 1 inch gap there, and he's got a 4 inch gap back
I
there.
got 4 fingers.
I'd go one more.
He's not very
Okay.
To cut the middle and weld the middle.
Are we good?
No, we're not on there
We
yet.
got like
You good, CJ?
CJ's got like an inch.
I got like an inch too. We're touchdown.
Oh!
Oh. Oh.
Oh,
Give me my money.
Give me
Give me my money.
Eddie wins.
Oh man.
$3.99.
$1.
There it is.
That's not $1.
$81. I owe you $1.
Dang it, $3.75 would have been closer. I do owe you $1. I'll get you $1.
Oh my
I'll
dollar.
get
see
you
the way my
$1.
bank account's set up.
All right, so that's what a Bear
Four.
25 3
Richard
chassis weighs. Now this one obviously is missing some things compared to some chassis. Like it doesn't have these bars on there, obviously. I would guess this stuff's probably 20 pounds? 20, 30 pounds?
Like just the tubes?
Yeah, because that's all 1.5 inches. So this is basically a pound a foot. And 1 5/8 is 1.3 pounds per feet. So that's probably 25. And then plus all the shock tower stuff. But like this has some redundancy and some extra weight with all the floor. Decent bit of extra weight with the transmission double frame rail setup.
I should have.
Some extra gussets here and there. Like these technically don't have to be there, but so same way with these. Yeah, there's some extra, like this bar is way heavier. Some of these gussets, like stuff like, this chassis could be, I would guess probably 50 pounds lighter. If we went minimum on everything, because like this is 1 5/8, this only has to be 1.5 inches. This is 1 5/8, this is 1 5/8, this is 1 5/8, that's 1 5/8. So that's 3 pounds for every 10 feet that we could be lighter.
The whole flank car cage too.
The funny car cage, this needed to be 1 5/8, I think, with it being behind.
Passenger side floorboard could have been bigger as well.
Passenger side floorboard could have been carbon, titanium. Most of the driver's floor could also be, like I think only under the driver needs to be steel, but
Oh, it's 400 now. Oh, never mind.
But I think it's safe to say we could probably be 40 to 50 pounds lighter. Because, I mean, that floor, all that put together weighs a decent amount. And all that silicon bronze filler. Because the silicon bronze filler actually weighs more than the steel filler.
Really?
Yep, it's heavier than, it's heavier. So, that's kind of a fun end of the week.
Should have used aluminum filler on them.
The hybrid rod.
The hybrid rod.
Yeah.
Weld aluminum to steel.
Yeah. You just need
Do
to order the
aluminum floor
hybrid rod.
pans. Gotcha.
All right, so where's my money? So you can either pay me $1 or I rip your sleeve off.
I'm not ripping my sleeve off.
Let me rip your sleeve off.
This is good shit.
All right, well, let me go get Eddie his $1.
That's right.
And that's gonna wrap up this video. So appreciate everybody following along, watching, subscribing. Check your subscription. Of course, if you're this deep in the video, you're probably already one of our subscribers. So that'll do it for this week on Val and Steve Morris's Camaro. See you guys next time.
Oh.
Here, is that how you're used to getting them?
Tuck it in there.
No.